Hello, a very good evening to all of you. Welcome to the daily news analysis by Tathastu ICS. I am Umang and today I will be taking the DNA session for the date of 21st of May. So let me see how many of the students have joined. Yes, just a second, we'll wait. So give me a thumbs up, then we'll begin with the session. Okay. Now before moving ahead, this is the scanner, okay, so you can scan it and join the Telegram channel of Tathastu ICS where you will have access to all the PDFs that are being discussed, okay. Then let's see the first page of today's newspaper. So this is the first page of the Hindu Delhi edition, okay. So very good evening Princess and the other students who have joined, right. So this is the front page. We have floods that have started. There is a heavy rainfall that has started in Bengaluru, okay, that is one news. We have news related to Waqf law also, but that is something which will keep on going on, okay. Then we will come to the news articles that we are going to cover from the examination point of view, okay. So let's come to the topics that we are covering today. So there are many small articles that we are going to cover. The first one is the diplomatic outreach visit begins today, okay, so that is mentioned on the front page of today's newspaper only. Then second one is a tragedy recorded for posterity, inscription near temple in Karnataka has been found. So we will see what is this inscription telling us, okay. It is talking about the droughts, so it is telling lot about the climate or the major natural disasters that must have happened in the ancient times, okay. Then we have trade diplomacy. India's trade restrictions on Bangladesh may backfire. So Bangladesh is now is allying with Pakistan, okay. So abhi hum dekhte hain ki what they are trying to do. Then there is an article that was talking about the scheme based workers, the struggle for an identity. Who are these scheme based workers? What are their concerns, right? Then the next article is talking about climate, okay. Now when climate, the impact of climate. So they are saying that progress should not be just fast but future proof. So what does this line mean? कि progress सिर्फ fast नहीं होनी चाहिए, development सिर्फ fast नहीं होना चाहिए, the development should also be future proof. फॉर एग्जाम्पल अगर नेचुरल डिजास्टर्स होने लग गए या एपिडेमिक्स होने लग गए तो ऐसी डेवलपमेंट का क्या फायदा, ठीक है. देन आफ्टर अ गैप ऑफ 2 years द शिरोई लिली फेस्टिवल बिगिंस ऑन अ थॉर्नी नोट इन मणिपुर. सो व्हाट इज दिस शिरोई लिली फेस्टिवल, ओके. देन द कुरमा मेला. सो दिस इज टॉकिंग अबाउट द साइंस ऑफ मास नेस्टिंग इन द ऑलिव रिडली टर्टल्स दैट हैपेंस ऑन द coast of Gahirmat in Odisha, ठीक है. Then the last article or last news that was there is the personality in the news. So there were 2 people who were mentioned in today's newspaper. So we'll just see what were their contributions, okay. So let's begin with the session. Yes, welcome all of you. Now let's see the first article. So this is diplomatic outreach visit begins today, page number 1. So this was the article. So this comes in your syllabus of internal security and international relations, right. Abhi hum already पढ़ चुके हैं that Operation Sindoor was taken by India, okay. We had that Operation Sindoor, what all measures have been taken down, but the major problem क्या है हमारे साथ? The cross border terrorism, and that is being sponsored by Pakistan. We all know that. So what India is doing now? So India has initiated a multi-party diplomatic delegation to the foreign capitals. So there will be 3 delegations, 3 groups जो अलग अलग जगहों पर जाएंगे और वहाँ पर उन लोगों को ब्रीफ करेंगे about what? About the Operation Sindoor and the cross border terrorism that is being sponsored by Pakistan. So just for that, this 3 separate groups will be going, and these 3 separate groups will be headed by different people, and it is a multi-party mission or a diplomatic delegation. Why I am saying multi-party? क्योंकि जब foreign policy की बात आती है तो इंडिया में इंटरनल जो पार्टीज है उनमें कोई रिफ्ट नहीं दिखता. दैट टाइम वी आर ऑल रिप्रेजेंटिंग इंडिया, चाहे वो कांग्रेस हो, चाहे वो रूलिंग पार्टी हो, चाहे वो नॉट रूलिंग पार्टी हो, चाहे वो स्टेट पार्टीज हो, ठीक है, तो सब एक हो जाते हैं. दैट इज द यूनिटी दैट इज देयर इन इंडिया. Okay, so these three separate group will be going to all these countries and they'll be briefing the countries and the delegations there about this entire process. And this is significant. Why? Because it is helping in telling us, it is reinforcing India's narrative on terrorism diplomacy. This is one segment. Then it is also helping in building a global consensus and also isolate Pakistan diplomatically. And the third thing is demonstrate bipartisan unity in India's foreign policy outreach. Bipartisan unity का मतलब वही होता है कि ऐसा नहीं कि सिर्फ रूलिंग पार्टी ही सब कुछ कर रही है. We are also taking the consensus of the non-ruling parties also when it comes to the foreign policy, because we are all representing India as a whole. Okay, so this was the only thing that was there. You just need to know the meanings of the word, what is this bipartisan unity, okay, and you should just be aware. Okay, so this is what is India doing. Okay, then coming to the next topic. Now this is an important from your Indian culture part. Okay, so there was a tragedy recorded for posterity. Inscription near temple in Karnataka lists drought deaths in 1539. So it is mentioning about the deaths that have happened due to droughts. ठीक है, जो सूखा पड़ जाता है उसकी वजह से जो deaths हुई थी, it has been mentioned there. Then in 1539. So from the syllabus it comes in your GS paper 1, Indian culture, then Indian heritage, art and culture, then GS paper 1 only geography, because natural calamities are there. Okay, natural calamities and what was the impact of this natural calamity on the humans, okay, on the society, and of course history also, right? So historical sources and their interpretation. So this is the syllabus. Now this was the article. Okay, so we can see this sculpture also. This is the 16th century sculptural inscription that has been found. So we'll just see what they are trying to say and what has been mentioned. So this has been discovered where? In the Chandrasekhara temple in Gutala, Haveri district of Karnataka, and this has been documenting almost 6,000 plus deaths. ठीक है, इसमें मेंशन है जो ड्रॉट की वजह से हुए थे 1539 में. ओके, सो दिस इज दी चंद्रशेखरा टेम्पल. तो ये आपको टेम्पल यू शुड रिमेंबर नाउ बिकॉज न्यूज में आ चुका है. ओके, नाउ दिस इज कंसिडर्ड एज द अर्लीस्ट नोन एपिग्राफिक एविडेंस ऑफ ह्यूमैनिटेरियन डिजास्टर caused by a natural calamity in Indian history. So this is also an important point, right? Then coming to this inscription has been written in which language? Of course this is mentioning in the Karnataka mein hai hum, so there would be of course the Kannada language. So it's written in Kannada language and the era is the Saka era. The Saka era that is dating from 1461. Okay, so this has been mentioned there. And it is also recording that during the reign of Imadi Ramasara of Guttavala, Marulya Odeya carried the bodies in the baskets and buried them. So whatever bodies, जो sculpture दिख रहा है उसके अंदर we can see a person who is carrying the dead bodies in a basket. So this is the sculpture that has been made. Okay, so this is the sculpture that has been made. I will answer your questions, just let me finish. Okay, so this is about this sculpture and the inscription that has been found. So it's a rare sculpture alongside the inscription which depicts a person carrying the dead bodies in a basket. Okay, now what you need to remember is that of course you will remember all the data that has been mentioned about this inscription. Along with that you should know what is epigraphy. Epigraphy क्या होता है? Epigraphy is basically when we are studying and interpreting the ancient inscriptions. Okay, then there is also one term that has been mentioned, bara, bara or bada, whatever you can pronounce it, bara. Okay, so what is this bara? That is a traditional Kannada term for famine or drought. It means famine or drought or a drought. Okay, so bara, that's a Kannada term. Okay, and the Saka era we all know. What are you not getting, Anuja? It's just a mere fact. There is nothing to understand. Anuja, just let me know if you have any doubt, beta. Okay, so this is the key points. Of course, it is also mentioning about the term bara to denote the famine or the drought, and it is also mentioning about the socio-economic insights about the society and what were the traditional coping mechanisms reflecting how the communities responded to the natural disasters in the past. Okay. Now these studies of course will help us, they will help us in understanding the historical climate patterns and the community resilience. Of course, we learn from the history so that we also not do the same mistakes, right? Anuja, Salati, whatever doubt is there, beta, just mention it. Okay, this is a DNA session. This is for the daily news analysis, meaning the news articles that are coming in the today's newspaper. We are trying to cover those articles from the UPSC exam perspective. ठीक है कि हमारे एग्जाम में कौन से articles important हैं हमारे syllabus के according. So that is why I have divided it according to the syllabus only. If you are new, it's okay, it's absolutely fine. It will take some time, so no worries. Try to listen first, and if you have further any doubts, just mention in the comment box. ठीक है बेटा? Now what is the significance? Of course, it will tell us how and what these inscriptions are a primary source for understanding the natural disasters. What were the reasons? For example, हमने Indus Valley Civilization में भी हम पढ़ते हैं कि there were famines that happened, there were flooding that happened, okay? Then it also enhances our grasp of India's climate history, climatic history के बारे में भी हमें पता चलता है. Along with that, it also tells us a lot about the interdisciplinary research that is important. Interdisciplinary, when I say history, geography, archaeology, क्लाइमेट चेंज, हम इन सब की स्टडी जब हम रिसर्च कर रहे हैं तो हम हर पर्सपेक्टिव से रिसर्च को ध्यान रखें और उसके रिलेटेड हम फैक्ट्स को कलेक्ट करें. ओके, दैट इज व्हाट इज मेंशन्ड. सो व्हाट इज इंपॉर्टेंट फ्रॉम दिस? यू नीड टू नो व्हाट हैज बीन found, where it has been found. Okay, so you need to know about the Chandrasekhara temple. Where is it located? Karnataka. What has been found? 6,309 dead bodies were documented in this inscription due to the drought, and in 1539, right? And you should know the term bara, and you should know the meaning of epigraphic, right? Then coming to the third article, trade diplomacy. India's trade restrictions on Bangladesh may backfire. So what is it doing? India ने कुछ trade restrictions लगाए हैं, ठीक है, garment industry के ऊपर, जो बांग्लादेशी garment industry है. So this is important from both international relations and the economy section of your main syllabus. Now what has India done? India has imposed restrictions on Bangladesh's garment and other commodities. Okay, and this is a very important sector of Bangladesh's economy. ठीक है. Then the present leader, the interim leader, Ms. Mohammed Yunus, he thinks, he accuses India that we have aided, we have supported the ousted PM Sheikh Hasina. Okay, so this is in response to the geopolitical concerns what India has done. India ने क्या करा, ये क्यों करा? Because of the हमारे जो concerns arise हो रहे हैं बांग्लादेश से. Now Bangladesh is also growing its ties with China, right? So restrictions have limited coercive value and could further delineate Dhaka. अब हमें इसमें से समझना क्या है, that what is the meaning of these coercive measures? What is this coercive trade policy? When we are trying to use economic measures like tariffs लगाना, bans लगाना, ठीक है, on for achieving our political or diplomatic issues or interests. So जब हम economic measures को put करते हैं, for example tariffs या bans to achieve political or strategic objectives, that is called a coercive trade policy. Second major point, strategic northeast. We all know that northeast is very important part, integral part of India, right? We already know chicken necks, जो chicken necks वाला area है, that is a thin area, that's a very has a very small width and it's a strategic location. China of course हमेशा से परेशानियां करता रहता है. हमने देखा है अरुणाचल प्रदेश में also it is naming so many places on its own. Okay, now they are always causing a trouble there, right? So what will happen? Of course Northeast is very important for us. So this area becomes automatically important, and we are sharing a very long border with Bangladesh. Then radicalization risk भी है हमारे ऊपर. अगर यहाँ पर कुछ problem होती है, of course bordering areas में क्रॉस बॉर्डर टेररिज्म बढ़ने के चांसेस हैं, यूथ का रेडिकलाइजेशन होने के चांसेस हैं. तो वी हैव टू एंश्योर दैट दिस एंटायर एरिया इज पीसफुल. Okay, we know the porous border that we are having with Bangladesh. There's a lot of smuggling also that is happening, trafficking that is happening, not only of humans but of animals also, right? Drugs also. So this is a very important area. Now what we also have done, we have proposed a road construction, a project that is starting from Silchar to Shillong. Now this will be connected to the Kaladan multimodal transit project only, and this will help us in bypassing Bangladesh. So we have also started doing that. ऐसा नहीं कि इंडिया कुछ response नहीं कर रहा. So we have also started with the proposed high speed corridor that will be a road route here from Silchar to Shillong, and that will help us in bypassing Bangladesh. Okay, so we are also not very dependent, right? So we'll also have measures to counter what Bangladesh is trying to do. So this was all mentioned in this article, so, right? So you can just have a look. Now let's come to the second one. But of course, as a responsible neighbor, India always tries to have peaceful and good relations and healthy relations with each of its neighbors. Okay, we are not the ones who cause a lot of trouble to our neighbors. So हम अभी भी यही चाहेंगे कि हम बांग्लादेश के साथ peaceful और अच्छे relations maintain करके रखें, जैसे हम historically रखते आए हैं. Okay, we have helped them n number of times. Now coming to a very important editorial that was talking about the scheme based workers, the struggle for an identity. So this is coming in your GS paper 2 governance, where we are talking about the welfare schemes for the vulnerable section. Then GS paper 3 inclusive growth economy, ठीक है, labor reforms, employment and social security की जब हम बात करते हैं, तो this is article becomes important from that side. Now what is the issue? The issue is, we have seen there are a lot of schemes that are run by the central government. We have midday meal scheme, we have Anganwadis, who are providing nutrition to the kids or the children, right? There are a lot of health workers also who are employed, ASHA workers, they are working at the grassroots. So almost 60 million of them are there. Okay, so we have almost 60 million workers who are part of the central government schemes. Now these workers, if we classify them, for example, Anganwadi workers or the midday meal workers or the ASHA workers, they are fighting a struggle for categorization into a worker term only. Basically, they are playing a very important role in nutrition, education, public health, but still they are themselves lacking lot of benefits or lot of rights. Labor rights, basic labor rights इनके पास नहीं है, because they are not considered as worker as per the given status that is given at present. उनको worker status ही नहीं मिला हुआ है, so they are fighting for this worker status. If they get this status, of course, then they are fighting, they are doing strikes, they are having legal battles. For example, Kerala में अभी March में there was a very big strike. Okay, it ended after lot of days, काफी दिन लगे उसमें. Negotiations at the Indian Labour Conference, they are doing all of this. Why they are doing this? Anybody who can tell me? Anyone? Let me see. Gig workers are also parallelly, if we see, gig workers are also having the same concerns. Charita, very good. Gig workers are different. For example, gig workers वो हैं जो हमारे टेक प्लेटफॉर्म्स में बहुत सारे काम कर रहे हैं. फॉर एग्जाम्पल ब्लिंकिट है ना, स्विगी, ऑल ऑफ दोज आर गिग वर्कर्स, राइट? बट दीज वर्कर्स आर स्कीम्ड वर्कर्स, सो दैट इज व्हाई इनको कहा गया, इनके लिए टर्म दी गई है स्कीम बेस्ड वर्कर्स. दे आर वर्किंग इन दी गवर्नमेंट स्कीम्स. ओके, नाउ द गवर्नमेंट इज सेइंग, गवर्नमेंट का स्टैंस ये है कि हमारे पास फाइनेंशियल स्ट्रेन है, फाइनेंशियल कंस्ट्रेंट्स है, वी कैन नॉट डू दैट. Okay, there's so many of them, right? Let's see what comes आगे, इसके आगे होता क्या है, ठीक है? But there are certain judicial pronouncements also related to this. So we will see, for example, in Amir B case 2006, Supreme Court said that the Anganwadi workers will not be considered as workers. Then in Moneyben case of 2022. सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने ही कहा कि आंगनवाड़ी वर्कर्स को हम एलिजिबल है वो फॉर द ग्रेच्युटी दैट इज प्रोवाइडेड अंडर द पेमेंट्स टू ग्रेच्युटी एक्ट 1974. Okay, so that is one case. And in 2024, Gujarat High Court has mentioned that it has directed the government that we need to have a policy, we need to have a framework where we can regularize the Anganwadis and the workers as class 3 and class 4 employees or the workers. And till then we should also ensure that they are getting the minimum wages. So this is the tussle that is happening. Okay, they are also talking, the workers are going and having negotiations at the Indian Labour Conference. So Indian Labour Conference kya hai? That is a tripartite platform where we have the government representative, we have the employer representative and we have the employee यानी कि worker representative. तो वहाँ पर जाकर भी वो बात कर रहे हैं. So this is, the article is highlighting what? It is just highlighting the paradox of India's welfare model, that people who are themselves providing lot of services are still not getting the social security benefits. This comes along with the gig workers as well. Gig workers के लिए भी we are fighting till now, right? They are also not given that much benefits, right? So it is talking a lot about the informal sector. ऐसे समझ सकते हैं. Okay, so this is the article that was talking about this schemed workers. So you need to know that schemed workers का meaning क्या है, and this is the reality of their existence. Okay, then the judiciary's approach जो मैंने mention किया है, the Moneybean case. Okay, the Gujarat High Court case 2024. The government is concerned with the huge cost implications as the employment of the scheme-based workers as government employees is set to grow as population grows, right? The government has been dodging on these important issues, but it is not an applause that they seek the worker status. It is an existential struggle that they are having. Okay, so this is there. No, it's not stopped. It will come. Don't worry. For the prelim students, it has been already shared. Don't worry. It will come. Environment series will come. Don't worry. Okay. So this was all about this article, right? Now coming to the next article that is talking about progress should not be fast but future proof. So this article is talking about the India's climate future. Okay, India ka climate future kya hai, and this is important from which perspective? From your syllabus GS3, that is climate change and adaptation, and GS paper 2 disaster management bhi aayega, theek hai, policy implementation, and from the essay paper we can have it in the topics on sustainable development and resilience. Okay, so what are the key points that have been mentioned in this article? That over 80% of India's population is residing in climate risk or climate vulnerable cities or districts. इंडिया की 80% पॉपुलेशन जो है वो ऐसी डिस्ट्रिक्ट्स में रिजाइड कर रही है जहाँ पर क्लाइमेट वल्नरेबिलिटी बहुत ज़्यादा है. मतलब वी आर प्रोन टू रिस्क, वी आर प्रोन टू क्लाइमेट थ्रेट्स, right? And we are lacking in a comprehensive framework for the climate risk assessment. हमारे पास एक framework भी नहीं है. Okay, now we have lot of climatic threats. Heat waves already started in cities like Delhi. ठीक है, we are witnessing that. There was a very good, there was a not good, there was a picture of the Thar desert that was showcasing the camels that are dying. Yesterday 2-3 pictures have been received from Thar desert also. Heat waves, erratic monsoons and droughts, these things are also impacting the health, the economy and the national security. India's climate adaptation efforts are largely reactive, not predictive or preventive. Meaning हमारे जो programs है, हमारे जो adaptation efforts है, वो reactive है. मतलब होने के बाद हम react कर रहे हैं, हम preparation उतनी ज़्यादा नहीं कर रहे हैं. So we are not predictive, we are not predicting things in the earlier stances or earlier stages or preventing it. According to the United Nations Environment Program UNEP, every $1 invested in adaptation will yield us $4 US in economic returns. तो अगर हम $1 अडेप्टेशन में इन्वेस्ट करेंगे तो उसका जो रिटर्न है वो हमें 3 टाइम्स मिलेगा, दैट इज विल बी यील्डिंग इकोनॉमिक रिटर्न्स फॉर $4. So that is why it is focusing that we need to adapt, we need to put our investments in adaptation, and that to climate change adaptations. Also a national adaptation plan was submitted in 2023 when in line with the Article 7 of the Paris Agreement. So what is this Article 7 of Paris Agreement? ये बात करता है on climate change adaptation, recognizing it as a global priority. Climate change के लिए adaptations करना is a global priority, सबके लिए it is a priority alongside the mitigation. Mitigation तो हम करेंगे ही, but हमें adaptation भी start करना है, that is a global priority. Okay, now coming to other important points from this article. Now they have mentioned a very important term. Climate physical risks include both sudden disasters and long-term issues like water scarcity, changing disease patterns. So first let me see who will tell me the meaning of the word hazard and the meaning of word disaster. In दोनों words का meaning क्या है? What is the meaning of disaster and hazard? What is the difference between them? Can anybody tell me? Can anyone tell me what is the difference between two? डिजास्टर मैनेजमेंट में और ज्योग्राफी में आपने पढ़ा होगा, इनफैक्ट एनवायरनमेंट में भी आपने पढ़ा होगा. ओके, लेट मी सी हु विल आंसर दिस. नाउ दे आर सेइंग वी आर टॉकिंग इन दिस आर्टिकल दैट क्लाइमेट फिजिकल रिस्क के अंदर हम सिर्फ वही ये नहीं देखेंगे कि जो सडन डिजास्टर आया, बट हम ये भी देखेंगे कि उसका लॉन्ग टर्म इम्पैक्ट्स क्या, लॉन्ग टर्म इश्यूज क्या आने वाले हैं. फॉर एग्जाम्पल वाटर स्कार्सिटी होने ही वाली होगी या डिजीजेस के पैटर्न्स में कुछ चेंज होगा. दीज आर लॉन्ग टर्म थिंग्स दैट वी नीड टू विजुअलाइज, वी नीड टू अंडरस्टैंड दीज नाउ ओनली. ओके, सो दे आर सेइंग CPR को कैसे कैलकुलेट करते हैं? CPR इज कैलकुलेटेड एज hazard into exposure into vulnerability. It is a formula used to assess the risk and guide the adaptation planning. So we need to have in all our developmental projects हमें CPR को include करना चाहिए, हमें climate physical risks को as a important factor consider करना चाहिए whenever we are doing or making any project, any development project that is there. Okay, so hazard is the dangerous phenomena. Okay, when that phenomena happens, when that event happens, that is a disaster. It is a disaster now, and the exposure is considered as the people or the assets who will be harmed. And vulnerability का मतलब क्या होता है? Ability to cope or recover. Okay, hazard is the intensity of the event. Okay, that can happen, right? So we are saying that India is relying only on the fragmented data that is coming from multiple agencies, and we are not having a centralized risk data hub. हमारे पास एक centralized risk data hub नहीं है. Second, developed countries like US, UK, New Zealand, they have included CPR, the climate physical risk, in their financial, infrastructure and disaster management policies. For example, I will tell you US में जो FEMA है, FEMA is the Federal Emergency Management Agency. Just a second. The FEMA of US, that is the Federal Emergency Management Agency. It has the National Risk Index, Natural Disaster Risk Index, NRI. It maps the climate risk कि क्या क्या climate risk हो सकते हैं, flood, wildfire, with the help of the local government, and it helps the local government for making the projects or infrastructure projects या जो भी development वहाँ पर करना होगा या emergency services करनी होंगी, उसके लिए they help the local government with this index, so that we can plan in a proper way. प्रॉपर तरीके से हम लोग प्लानिंग कर पाए, कहाँ पर फ्लड का रिस्क है, कहाँ पर ड्रॉट का रिस्क है, उस तरीके से हम सारा इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर का डेवलपमेंट भी करें. अब इंडिया कैसे कर सकता है? फॉर एग्जाम्पल, इंडिया कहाँ यूटिलाइज कर सकता है CPR को? क्लाइमेट फिजिकल रिस्क को असेस करें हम, कि क्या क्या रिस्क आ सकते हैं हमारे पास। फॉर एग्जाम्पल हमारे पास बहुत सारे इनिशिएटिव्स चल रहे हैं, जैसे स्मार्ट सिटीज मिशन है, देन वी हैव द NHAI दैट इज टेकिंग केयर ऑफ द प्रोजेक्ट्स, बिग बिग प्रोजेक्ट्स जो NHAI कर रहा है, डेवलप कर रहा है। हम उन प्रोजेक्ट्स में किस तरीके से CPR के डेटा को यूटिलाइज कर सकते हैं, हाउ व्हेन वी कैन यूज द हीट एंड द रेनफॉल प्रोजेक्शंस and we know that this area is having more rainfall, so we can select that material that is resistant to that particular rainfall we can say, or resilient to heat. ओके तो हम उस तरीके के मटेरियल्स को यूज कर सकते हैं फॉर द कंस्ट्रक्शन, फॉर द डेवलपमेंट. सो दिस इज हाउ वी कैन ऑल्सो यूटिलाइज. अभी हम ये नहीं कर रहे हैं. ओके एंड अलॉन्ग विद दैट there is the India's financial regulators, for example SEBI and RBI. They are saying that they are transitioning from voluntary to mandatory climate risk disclosures. Climate risk disclosures matlab they are closing the establishments or the financial institutions where the in those areas jahan par climate risk bahut zyada hai, jahan hame pata chal raha hai ki there will be a threat, so they are closing there. Okay, so we can have both. We need to have to be equipped both in the public and the private sectors, and we need to utilize this climate physical risk data. एक तो इसका रिपोजिटरी होना चाहिए, दूसरा हमारे पास जब भी हम कोई डेवलपमेंट कर रहे हैं, कोई रोड बना रहे हैं, कोई बिल्डिंग बना रहे हैं, तो उस एरिया के CPR डेटा को हम यूटिलाइज करें. सिंपल यही कहना चाह रहा है वो. ओके सो दैट विल हेल्प अस इन डिलीवरिंग बेटर सर्विसेज. So you will utilize this example of US FEMA, okay, in your answer, and whenever you are mentioning where India can prospect, where India can work, you will mention the smart cities mission. We can use the smart cities mission. वहाँ पर भी हम CPR डेटा को यूटिलाइज कर सकते हैं बेटर सिटी की मॉनिटरिंग के लिए, अर्बनाइजेशन चैलेंजेस को एड्रेस करने के लिए, अर्बन फ्लडिंग को एड्रेस करने के लिए. ठीक है, एंड द NHAI प्रोजेक्ट्स. ओके now coming to the next topic, that is the after a gap of 2 years Shirloi Lily festival begins on a thorny note in Manipur. Okay, so this festival is celebrated in Manipur, right, and we know Manipur has been in turmoil from a long time. The issue between the Kukis and the Meiteis that was happening, so we have a good news, a good thing that shows us the connections between the tribes, between the people of Manipur. We can have this Shirloi Lily festival. So this is celebrated where? It is celebrated in the Ukhrul district of Manipur, celebrated on behalf of the Department of Tourism, Government of Manipur, started in 2017, and it has been named after a flower. Okay, the flower name is the Shirloi Lily. You can see the picture of the Shirloi Lily. This is the picture of the flower. Okay, and its locally its scientific name is Lilium mechelania. Okay, so you can just try to pronounce it. Now this flower grows in Shiroi Hills only of the Ukhrul district. Shiroi Hills bhi hai wahan par, and it's an endangered species of a flower, and it's in the local term it is known as Kashong Timrovon. Okay, Kashong Timrovon is the local name, and it has a very important significance in the life of the people and the folklore of Manipur. Okay, so it's rooted in the folklore and the spiritual beliefs of the Tangkhul Nagas community as well. So it has a lot of belief in there. Then this lily plant or the lily flower is also under threat because of human intervention, because of climate change and the invasion of the wild bamboo. Okay, so you should know that where is this Shiroi Lily found, and there is a Shiroi Lily district also. Shiroi Lily is the state flower of Manipur, and we have the Shiroi Hills also in Manipur. Okay, right, we have other state festivals also. Yes Charita, we have other state festivals, so it's important. Okay, then coming to the next article, that is talking about the Kurm Mela and the signs of mass nesting of the olive ridley turtles. Now olive ridley turtles, important from your GS3, that is environment and geography, when we are talking about the animal migration and the coastal ecosystems. So this was the article, and this is the picture of the olive ridley turtle. Now we have studied a lot about olive ridley turtle in environment. We know that it is the smallest but it is the most abundant turtle. Okay, they have an olive colored shell, जो outside उनका shell होता है, that is olive colored, and they are found in the warm waters and they are omnivorous. Okay, so there was a previous year question that was talking about the eating habits of the turtles also. So that's an omnivores who can eat both leaf or plant and also insects or flesh. Okay, then they are solitary in nature, their IUCN status is vulnerable, they come in the Schedule 1 of Wildlife Protection Act, they come under Appendix 2 of CITES. So this is you need to know. Then there was a Operation Kachap that was started by the Department of Revenue Intelligence. Then there was Operation Olivia that was started for their protection by the Indian Coast Guard. ICG is Indian Coast Guard. Okay. Then there was Save Kurma, that was a project, that was an initiative started by the Wildlife Crime Control Bureau for protection of the olive ridley turtles only. Now what is unique about the olive ridley turtles? That they are involved in a process or a phenomena that is called aribada. Aribada is the solitary, meaning अकेले रहने वाले, अकेले जो होते हैं, that are solitary. Okay, although there is a mass nesting that is happening, but each individual is having its own single nest. Okay, solitary का मतलब होता है जो अकेले रहें. ठीक है, so the aribada is a synchronized and a large scale masting event and it involves environmental imprinting, geomagnetic cues and the ocean current memory. This term is also called philopatry. So philopatry matlab tendency of an organism to return or stay to its native place or the birthplace of reproduction. Okay, so this term is important, philopatry, because now we see environment के questions जो पूछे जाते हैं उसमें they are asking unique terms also, right? जैसे animals का behavior पूछा जा रहा है, उनकी dietary habits पूछी जा रही हैं, उसी तरीके से कोई new term associated होता है तो वो भी पूछा जाता है. तो philopatry का मतलब होता है that is the tendency, for example कोई organism है तो उसके अंदर एक tendency होती है कि वो वापस से अपनी बर्थ प्लेस पर जाता है. सो व्हाट इज हैपनिंग इन दिस मास नेस्टिंग, दैट द फीमेल्स आर रिटर्निंग, वंस अ फीमेल कम्स, it comes and it lays the eggs hatch and the hatchlings move again in water, and then those small turtles, they will grow up and they will come again to the same coast only, they will come to the same Gahirbat coast only. So how come they are getting these clues? Of course their scientific studies are saying कि हमें अर्थ की जो जियोमैग्नेटिक फील्ड्स होती हैं उससे भी उनको इंफॉर्मेशन पता चलती है. दे आर ऑल्सो यूजिंग दी ocean current memory, that they know where in which kind of water they have to be present, warm water, cold water. Okay, so these are all the things that are making or bringing them back again to the same coast where they were born. Okay, where their birth took place. So usko hum kehte hain philopatry. Okay, now you can see the picture of the Odisha is the very famous for the Gahirmat coast that is there, and Gahirmat is a very important mass nesting site, and also the Devi river mouth. These are the two major ones, and then we have the Rushikulia, all three in Odisha. So Odisha is very famous for the olive ridley turtles. Okay, so this is all about the olive ridley turtles. And then we have the last topic, that is the person or personality in news. So we had two people who had made remarkable contribution in the country, and we have lost them. They both have passed away. So first one is Mr. Jayant Narlikar. He was an Indian astrophysicist, okay? And he was the one who challenged the Big Bang theory, and he gave the steady state theory with a British astronomer Fred Hoyle. Okay, तो हमें पढ़ा है हमने कि एक है Big Bang theory जो कहती है कि universe began from a dense particle, okay, and it expanded. There was a universe kept on expanding, it cooled down, then the galaxies were formed, right? This is how life is moving. That was the Big Bang theory. But the steady state theory क्या कहती है कि universe is eternal, universe has no beginning or no end. It's constantly creating matter to maintain density expansion. Okay, so steady state theory का मतलब क्या है और Big Bang theory, just you have to revise that. So you just need to know कि what is the steady state theory. It's different from the Big Bang theory. Okay, so it is believing that universe has no स्टार्टिंग पॉइंट और नो एंडिंग पॉइंट, वो इटर्नल है, ठीक है. बट बिग बैंग थ्योरी क्या कहती है कि इट स्टार्टेड फ्रॉम वन पॉइंट. Okay, so this was about Shri Jayant Narlikar, Indian astrophysicist. Of course, there were other contributions also, but this was the major thing that was given by him. Then we have Shri M.R. Srinivasan. Okay, so he is a key architect of India's nuclear program. Okay, he was also the principal project engineer for India's first atomic power station at Tarapur. Okay, the NPCIL जो है हमारा, वो भी इनकी वजह से फाउंड हुआ था. ही वॉज द फाउंडर ऑफ NPCIL ऑल्सो, एंड ही हैड मेड अ ग्रेट कॉन्ट्रीब्यूशन इन द डिपार्टमेंट ऑफ एटॉमिक एनर्जी. ओके, सो दीज वर द टू renowned people who were mentioned, right? Yes, both the theories are accepted. See, theories are given by a lot of scientists. Now they keep on giving new theories, whatever we come to know, right? So there are proposed theories, and there are some theories that have lot of proofs, some don't have lot of proofs, so it keeps on going. Okay, so there are different theories, but you from exam point of view आपको पता होना चाहिए कि steady state theory और big bang theory में difference क्या है. Yes, Apsara, very good Charita. Okay, so this was all in today's newspaper. If you have any doubt beta, just let me know. Okay, you can always mention in the comment box if there's any doubt pertaining to anything related to the newspaper. Just mention it, we will definitely revert back. Okay, so thank you very much. Keep learning and keep revising, and all the best to all the students who are giving the prelims on Sunday. So all the very best. Thank you.